Hello, Internet. Nice to be with you again. It's funny. I realize that when I recorded one of these videos, I mean, your so many of you, your faces and your names are in my mind and in my head. Um, I can see you. I try to orient myself to just be talking with you. I mean, so many friends and family from so many different corners of my life and different eras of my life, and um, the the audience of my channel is still small. I mean, relatively speaking, but it grows, you know, month by month, year by year. I've been doing this for I think 3 years now, just about exactly 3 years, and uh, yeah, I don't have a huge audience, but I have a lot more people following along right now than were, in the first couple of years. So um, I'm aware of who I'm speaking with. I mean, people who I've known my entire life, and then people that I knew when I lived in Wichita, Kansas. I was a meteorologist there for 9 years, way back in the 80s and 90s. Um, and then my years in Hawaii, and then in India. Uh, and I could name other eras of my life that I just know that there are certain packets of acquaintances and friends that I knew at certain times of my life. And through your comments, your emails, your texts, uh, I know that so many of you from so many different corners of my life are following along, and I really appreciate that so much. And so when I hit the record button on these videos, I always feel very relaxed because I just imagine that I'm talking to you guys, whether you are close family members, very close and intimate friends, or just people that I knew for a short time along the way. No matter who you are, I appreciate so much that you're here, and that there's so much going on YouTube. I mean, I'm subscribed to dozens and dozens of channels, and I know how the YouTube algorithm works. There are certain videos that are constantly popping up on my stream, and then there are others that, even though I'm subscribed to them, I have to go hunting for the videos if I'm interested. And so I know that the reason that you are watching right now is because you want to, and because you're interested, and because you care. And I appreciate that. I don't take it for granted at all. When I get 400 or 500 or 600 people, or I've got a couple of videos that are into the thousands, but when I see those numbers, I do not take for granted a single eyeball. And whether I know you or not, um, I appreciate you being here, because that is another thing. Every single time I post a video, there's a couple of comments at least from people that I don't know at all, but who have been somehow impacted by what I have to share about my own personal experience. And that means so much to me because, as I have mentioned before also, there are other YouTubers that I watched when I first got my cancer diagnosis who gave me so much hope and basically just helped pull me into the world of dealing with a serious, chronic, potentially terminal illness. And so I guess it's a little bit of pay it forward when I see people commenting on my videos who I don't know, but who are going through something similar, or who have loved ones who have a cancer diagnosis. It reminds me of when I first started watching cancer videos, and I got a lot of comfort and, really, frankly, a lot of information from people who had a similar diagnosis to my own. So anyway, that's my preamble. One thing that I did want to mention is that, yes, I did make it to my or on my camping trip that I mentioned in the last video The timing was not very good. We were in the middle of a massive heat wave here in Minnesota, but because of my schedule, I had mapped out these 4 or 5 days that I knew that I was free. And I decided to go ahead with my plan, even though when I left, there were a couple of small wildfires up in the Superior National Forest near the Canadian border. And I knew about that, but I looked at the maps and I looked at where I was going and I decided to take a chance. So I did. Um, but interestingly enough, the day that I arrived at Lake Jeanette in the Superior National Forest, which is not far from the Canadian border in northeastern Minnesota, the temperature on my car thermometer was 100 degrees, which is crazy hot for that part of the country, as you might imagine. And that first day that I was up north is when the wildfires exploded and like exponentially increased. Fortunately for me, the winds at that time were blowing everything to the east and southeast, and most of the fires were to my north and northeast, or all but one of them actually. And so I could see plumes of smoke. Even though the sky was clear and it was super hot, I saw those fires burning only miles to my northeast and east. But at that time, fortunately, the winds were carrying that smoke in the opposite direction. However, the very next day, the campground I was staying in, there was only one other party. It was a couple of pickup trucks and 3 or 4 guys who were doing some boating and fishing. But the rest of the campground, which consisted of 12 campsites, had a bunch of no-shows. About half of these Superior National Forest campgrounds have reservable sites. So roughly 6 out of 12 of the campsites were reservable online, and they had been reserved, but every single one was a no-show. So when these guys left on the next morning after I arrived and I realized that I was all by myself, there was a time in my life when I would have been thrilled about that, but things have changed a little bit and I wasn't super excited about being all by myself with fires around. I did see Forest Service people. I stopped at the ranger station on the way up, and the Superior National Forest staff was making the rounds, and they let me know what was going on, and they assured me that there would be warnings and whatever. So I felt comfortable and safe. But when those guys left and I knew that I was all by myself in the campground with those fires really expanding, and part of the Echo Trail, which is the gravel road that gets you in and out of there, part of that Echo Trail had already been closed because of the fires. And I just decided I don't want to be up here by myself. And it just didn't. Oh, and the other thing was I didn't have a cell signal, and family trying to get a hold of me or me wanting to touch base with them and just let them know I'm okay. It wasn't a situation that I was comfortable with. And so I left and went to my second favorite campground up there, which was about an hour further to the south. An hour driving, but on the map it's like this far. But I shifted down there, a place called Pfeiffer Lake, Pfeiffer. You can look that stuff up if you want, if you're really that interested, and see where I was. Basically west of Ely, north of Virginia, and east of Cook, Minnesota. That campground, there were more people. It was further away from the smoke and the trajectory of the fires, and I spent 3 more nights there and had a really great time. It was beautiful. The weather was really nice. There was one day where we did have a considerable amount of haze and smoke, to the point where I could kind of smell the smoke. But anyway, the point is I made it. I survived. The second campground, I did have a cell signal so I could keep in touch with people, which gives comfort for me and for those who are concerned about me. And that's the story, and I made it back in one piece. So I am really happy. You guys know that I enjoy my, during these treatment holidays when I'm in between treatments and my side effects are at bay, it is my joy to be able to get out in nature. And I have gotten to do a couple of really great camping trips, one way out west and then this one closer to home. So anyway, I wanted to jump on and let you guys know that I made it back safely, because I did have numerous messages from people wondering if I was caught in the wildfires. So here's living proof I made it through. I've got 10 days until my scans on the 31st of July. And then, of course, we will be making big decisions again. You guys that have tracked and followed along, you know how often I've been through this. Scans and labs every 3 months, and then a decision whether to give it another 3 months or get back on treatment. Fortunately, in the last 2 years, I have been blessed and fortunate enough that the first set of scans after treatment, which means the first 3 months, have shown either stable disease or only very slight, lazy, indolent progression, which has allowed 3 more months of treatment holiday. And I'm hoping we'll get that again. I'm hoping that I'll be able to enjoy another 3 months after this, which will take us all the way to the end of October before my next scans. And that would mean that I would end up with another 7 or 8 month holiday once we get treatment going again. If we decide in late October to get treatment going, it always takes about a month to put all that together. So I would love it if I don't have to start back on treatment and have all the side effects building up again, because it's really only been about 6 or 7 weeks, since my side effects faded away after my last treatment on April 22nd. So I would love it if I could get a reprieve, for the rest of the summer and half of the fall before maybe having to get back on treatment, say middle of November or something like that. But we shall see. My day, July 31st, keep me in your prayers and your thoughts. Maybe put a little check mark on your calendar. I would appreciate it if you guys sent those thoughts and prayers my way on that day. It's a super long day. I'm gonna have to leave like at 5:30 in the morning to go down to Rochester to Mayo Clinic, and I've got labs and scans in the morning, and then I will have oncology and radonc, which is radiology oncology, because they're the ones that are still potentially going to zap some of these spots if necessary. And then also I have an appointment with hematology and vascular cardiology to look at these very small pulmonary embolisms that developed in response to my chemo last time. So I've got all kinds of appointments on that day. I'll be leaving very early in the morning and won't be finished until the late afternoon. And I know from past experience, waiting on the results from my CT scans and blood work and getting the new updated carcinoembryonic antigen cancer marker number, waiting for all those things to hit, the notifications and clicking on the portal and checking those results is always like a very stressful time. So again, that's coming up in about 10 days. And I may post a video between now and then, but I'm thinking maybe I'll wait. It'll be a couple of weeks before I get back to you and let you know after those results come in and we decide what we're doing. But okay, middle of the summer, and I'm sure you're all very busy. Everybody's traveling. Everybody's got family stuff going on. And I appreciate, again, you checking in with me. And whether I know you very well or whether you are just an online YouTube acquaintance or something in between. I appreciate all of you, and I thank you so much for being along on this cancer trek with me. All the best. Love you guys, and see you next time. Bye-bye.